Practice Test 4. Part 7. Question 81. The kitchen duplex outlet in the figure below at the end of the peninsula would be wired with metallic cable. Kitchen duplex outlet at the end of the peninsula would be wired with metallic cable. Wire kitchen duplex at end of peninsula with metallic cable. Question 82. On the house plans, how many three-way switches are required? 3. 1 for each end of hallway. The house plans call for how many three-way switches? 3. 1 at each end of hallway, entryway. Three-way switches are installed 1 at each end of hallway or entryway. Question 83. On the house plan, how many 120-volt receptacles require a GFCI breaker? 21 GFI. Round up. GFI receptacles are outside, in a bathroom or garage, in kitchen counter high within 6 feet of water. New electrical code states, GFCI required anywhere water is present, regardless of distance. How many 120-volt receptacles require GFCI breaker? 21 GFI. Round up on count. Question 84. On the house plan, how many smoke detectors are required? 5 smoke detectors. How many backup batteries for the smoke detectors? 5 batteries, 1 for each smoke. Code states, NFPA requires AC-powered interconnected smoke alarms, with backup batteries. 1 per bedroom. 1 in the hall outside each bedroom area. 1 on each level of home. 5 smoke detectors, per the plans, with 5 backup batteries, 1 for each smoke alarm. Question 85. On the house plan, what is the minimum amount of outlets required by code in bedroom 2? 4 outlets. 4 outlets in bedroom number 2. The minimum amount of outlets required by code in bedroom 2? 4 outlets. Question 86. On the house plans, how many regular 120-volt receptacles are required if each receptacle that requires GFCI is controlled at the receptacle? 38. Count them all, get 30, then round up. If GFC is controlled at receptacle, count all receptacles together. Get 30, so round up. How many regular 120-volt receptacles are required if each receptacle that requires GFCI is controlled at the receptacle? 38. Get 30, round up to 38. Question 87. How many 2-gang plaster rings are required? 5. How many 2-gang plaster rings are required? 5. Question 88. How would you ground a 480-volt, 208, 120-volt transformer in a metal building? Attach a ground rod to the steel structure. Ground a 480-volt, 208, 120-volt transformer in a metal building by attaching ground rod to the steel structure. Ground transformer in metal building by attaching ground rod to the steel structure. Question 89. An overcurrent protective device with a circuit opening fusible part that is heated and severed by the passage of overcurrent through it is called a fuse. A fuse is overcurrent protective device with circuit opening fusible part is heated and severed by the passage of overcurrent through it. A fuse is overcurrent protection, has circuit that if overheated, opens and cuts passage of overcurrent through it. Question 90. Using the figure, what do lines 6 and 7 represent? Feeders. Lines 6 and 7 come from plus symbol into a sub-panel. Feeding the sub. Feeder wires. What do lines 6 and 7 represent? Feeders. Question 91. Using the figure, what is line 1 called? Bonding jumper. Line 1 to minus sign. Plus sign is power and minus is bond, ground, like car battery. What is line 1 called? Bonding jumper. Question 92. Using the figure, what are ground enumerators? 2, 3 and 4. Lines in line with bond, ground are 2, 3 and 4. What are ground enumerators? 2, 3 and 4. Question 93. Using the figure, what is line 3 called? Ground wire. Number 3 is ground wire, goes to rebar under the foundation. Using the figure, what is line 3 called? Ground wire. Question 94. On a 4-wire delta connected secondary, where the midpoint of one phase winding is grounded to supply lighting, the phase conductor having the higher voltage to ground will be colored. Delta high leg is orange. 4-wire delta secondary. Midpoint of one phase winding is grounded to supply lighting. Phase conductor having higher voltage to ground will be colored orange for delta high leg. 4-wire delta secondary. Phase 1 midpoint, grounded to supply lighting. Phase conductor with higher voltage to ground is delta high leg, orange. Question 95. You check your loads on a 3-phase panel and phase A has a load of 180 amps, phase B has 145 amps, phase C has 175 amps. What would you do to phase balance the load? Move 10 amps from phase A to B and move 5 amps from C to D. Check loads on 3-phase panel. Phase A has load of 180 amps. Phase B has 145 amps. Phase C has 175 amps. To phase balance the load, move 10 amps from phase A to B and move 5 amps from C to D. 3-phase balance. A has 180. B has 145. C has 175. To balance, move 10 from A to B, and move 5 C to D.